Hello and welcome back to Cud Buds with Scott from Grogpod. How you doing?
Yes, we are three strata deep here in Red Rock, trying to desperately avoid this Snapjaw fort that we've descended upon.
I was
Um,
gonna,
I was gonna
I
ask.
was gonna actually
Oh
let you
yeah, go
know.
ahead.
Just for your reference, you were asking near the beginning of the series how quickly you will like head for the next part of the campaign. I'm
Hmm.
currently playing the game with Narf. I'm doing another series, which is actually going to be running subsequently with this series for 1.0. And I didn't actually officially get to Red Rock until level 10, I think.
Wow,
A
what's in
little
here?
bit, yeah. You can take your time, and once you know where to safely progress, and I don't mean going and grinding on glowfish. I mean like safely and also interesting
Hmm.
progression. You can play the game very comfortably without worrying about dying instantly.
Yeah, and I guess maybe to dovetail off of that a little bit, we kind of breezed past the fact that there was a daily challenge mode for this game, which seems a little ironic because like I imagine a full like if your goal is to go and complete like the full story mode campaign for this, that's like dozens and upon dozens of hours, and the idea of trying to complete that in a day and not die, I mean, I guess for one thing, but I guess the expectation with a daily challenge mode is like, ah, yes, you have like this constrained set of parameters and like, oh, like okay, I have this thing that I can get log a high score for the day for. Like it seems like there might be something with the daily challenge mode that like auto re-rolls a character for you. But is there like do you have a sense for what would be like a good like 1 to 2 hour goal to do with like all right, I'm gonna just randomly re-roll this character. My goal is to just get some point number on the leaderboard for the day. I'm just gonna roll like wander around randomly to some layers or try to like go and clear some of these story dungeons. Does it seem like it pulls in one direction versus another for kind of like binning to a 1 to 2 hour
Um,
time limit?
I'm gonna give you a very metagamey answer here, which is that I actually, to be frank, I don't think that cut is a good context for dailies or scorekeeping really, because like I know that it bases its score somewhat on the stuff that you've collected as well as the campaign progression. And if you're
Hmm.
playing like that, if I was like basically trying to think about how I could break Cud in half, it would be is something like go and try and get a bunch of love injectors and just like steal as many merchants' goods as possible, and then go and steamroll. And I don't think that that's
Huh.
interesting, to be honest.
Right.
But for 2 hours, I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, I'm not a speedrunner of Cud. There are speedrunners of Cud. I think a reasonable person could probably get to Grit Gate in 2 hours. And I have streamed Cud and gotten to Grit Gate in 2 hours. And I think that is a pretty comfortable
Mm-hmm.
progression.
Yeah, I think there I've been bouncing back and forth between some games that are much more on like the coffee break end of the spectrum. And to be fair, I guess like CUD doesn't really bill itself as something like, oh, just jump in for an hour
No,
or
definitely.
anything like
Well,
that.
I don't know.
But
You could play it in that context, but certainly you're not going to finish a run. Uh,
true.
when I
Yeah.
was first starting Cud, I
Um
was taking literal weeks. And I mean, now when I want to play, if I actually want to take a classic run seriously, I will actually genuinely take months. It's
yeah.
insane. Like, but what impresses me about Cud is how much of that is compelling to me. Very few other games
Yeah.
do that, especially when I've played them already. Like there's so many games
Hmm.
I've played. There's
Hmm.
like, yeah, I mean this again. Let's.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always it feels like this is where it kind of comes back to this being sort of like not or less of a roguelike and more of a Morrowind like where you just have this really big expansive open world where like you'll generate the world and then everything will be different from the last time that you played and your experience. Like I guess like that kind of procedural general or procedurally generated random experience is the roguey nature of it. The tile-based combat is the roguey nature, but your expectation goal setting for a run is much more like long-term planning and much more RPGified than it would be for something like I guess even Tales of Maj'Al where you're just like, oh yeah, I guess like I'm going in with the expectation my character will be permadead like
Yeah.
in an hour, but I guess depending on what difficulty
I
setting you
don't know
pick,
how
but
I know that people have like very set understandings of a lot of traditional roguelikes. I mean, like I watched Dosh play through Adam, and he's just like whizzing through that
mm,
game, and I'm like, I could not understand the first thing about what you're doing here. So
yeah,
I know that you can understand a traditional roguelike such to the extent that you can reliably get through it. But I don't think that that is true as much for any game as much as CUD. Like I feel like with CUD, unless there's like really just an unfortunate circumstance, you can probably very reliably understand it. And so for me, CUD stops being a roguelike and starts being just a very good RPG. So you're on your
Red
Snapjaw
Rock.
fort layer, and I'm interested to see how this
Yeah,
goes.
is this something is this so like my initial thought is that we should avoid this because well, I say that and then I was remembered like, oh, we just like ground and pounded like a whole bunch of baboons earlier. Like the Snapjaws are probably easier targets except for the brutes. So we might have an easier time. And we have a lot of constricted
Ye-
passageways here, which might
True,
work
but
to our
there's going to be a
advantage.
lot of them, and they have that swarmer trait, and that's the thing that's going to be a concern. You're going to
Yeah.
definitely want to use your corridors to your advantage.
Hmm. And if we go back to our quest goal here for what's eating the water vine, so we've traveled to Red Rock. We have to find some
Yeah.
creature that's been eating Joppa's water vine, kill it, and then haul its dead corpse back to Joppa. Um, so far, it seems like with the creatures that we've killed have not satisfied this criteria. So my guess, and I already know the answer to this, but uh, based on what we have here from the quest log, is that this will be obvious when we find
Yeah,
this
and in
creature.
fact, it's like the game makes sure that you don't miss it.
Yeah.
It's and that's the one nice thing about CUD, I guess, is that it is like very, it's almost obnoxious with its like like quest updates, but it really wants to make sure that you see it, because sometimes you're looking for a table and you just don't know where it is, and you don't know, like it could be any table,
Uh-huh.
or sometimes you're looking for something and you don't even know what it is that you could be looking for. And you learn these things, of course, but definitely with the help of code being like, hey, look, there it is. And you're like, okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. So these things you encounter a lot in the
Yeah.
titular caves of this world. Is this thing like just like something like melee that if you get within melee distance is just gonna whip at you
Um,
or
so I'm not, I've never, I don't know if I have a theory for like how dread roots kind of scare you, but I like to think that maybe they just rattle like a snake or something. Or I
uh
don't know, like they just sound spooky, like it's already like you're in CUD and everything's already scary, like you're literally fighting an amoeba right now, and that's spooky. So I imagine the dreadroot just kind of shakes a little bit, and that's its own little defense mechanism. It's also a root, and
oh,
you also are not friends to roots. Yeah, they got a lucky slap there.
hmm.
What was that? What happened there? They hit you 3 times. They hit you 3 times
Mm.
twice is what happened, I think.
Ooh.
So that's your 3 AV coming back to hurt you a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You could, I mean,
Gotta
you could just walk away. There's always that option, and then you have freeze.
yeah.
So you could wait till that comes off cooldown. Definitely avoid the pools unless you absolutely have to, because like as soon as you're wandering and wading in that water, you're gonna be taking a nasty hit for your uh, a lot of things really, like movement, speed, quickness,
Yeah.
and I mean you can also witchwood bark when you're feeling very dire. I mean, yeah, you hit him pretty hard. You should be fine. He just got lucky. He got lucky twice.
Lucky amoeba.
He dropped
Ooh, he
his
dropped something.
pseudopod that you cut off.
Mm.
Adds HP effects to cooked meals. There you go. I'd
Ooh.
say I think it's the equivalent of jerky. Maybe not actually.
Get some
Yeah.
ooze jerky.
Um there's a lot of like things that you when you kill in this game, when you butcher them, you'll get meat that you can preserve in the jerky, and it's I think one of the only mechanics that I still think needs a I don't know. I always hesitate to say that I think that something needs to be redone or retinkered because you know it's possibly doing something that I don't understand under the hood. But you can eat snacks in
Yeah.
Cud, and I find that to be very strange because it kind of brings the whole eating mechanism back to what I don't like about survival games, which is like eating a lot of snacks to keep your character sated. Which, by the way, you are hungry.
Yeah.
You might want to stop and eat some food. Oh, yeah, you're too close to the Snapjaw fort.
Oh. Well, I think like you were saying, you might be able to. So I got some bear
Yeah,
jerky here. Like, is it
you could eat
always
that.
when you're hungry?
You could
Okay.
definitely eat that, and it will help. But here's the thing: is you're gonna eat that, and you're gonna still be hungry. And you
Yeah.
could eat like I think it's something crazy like 7 snacks makes a meal or something. I wouldn't eat the star apple, but
Mm.
that's for very metagamey reasons.
Yeah. And if I remember right, there are skills cooking and gathering. Are there any skills specific to the cooking and gathering thing that are like, oh, eating snacks, or like this ups like the effectiveness of snacking versus actually
No,
camping and
there's
cooking?
nothing. There's as far as I know, there's nothing in
Okay.
CUD that really incentivizes snacks too much. I've often maintained I think there could be like a skill that would like have your character auto eat, but then that's basically just the endurance skill tree again, where
Mm.
you're
Hmm.
keeping sated for longer, and that might not be what you want. Or not endurance, sorry,
Yeah.
self control, self something. I think it's yeah, self discipline, where you're
Self-discipline.
hungering at like half rate. So I just don't
Hmm.
understand snacks, but you know, like I wouldn't take them out necessarily because like you can always ignore them, and I think that some of those granular mechanics are what makes CUD feel a little bit more immersive in a way.
Yeah, we definitely got some deep water in here. I guess I'm just gonna risk
Yeah, I
it.
mean,
I'm just
there's
gonna.
nothing visible. Um, I feel like the only thing you could for playing like very optimally is you could have waited for dismember to come off cooldown. But that's
Yeah.
yeah.
There's no wait for like all of your cooldowns
There
to
is
recharge.
actually
But I guess like
if you hit
oh,
wait
maybe
if
like
you
a
hit
hundred
wait
turns
hit
maybe.
wait end turns, I think it defaults to whatever your highest cooldown is.
Let's see,
Yeah,
17.
there you go. So freezing ray is
Oh,
is
interesting.
your
Huh.
highest cooldown right there. And you can bind that.
Nice.
I generally have like wait end turns as my bind for like I think it's Control W. And then I just you know
Hmm.
like I've come to learn some of the wait times for like very obscure things like how long a day is, for instance, is actually a good thing to know.
Yeah. Huh. So I guess this was expected that we go into the Snapjaw fort. There's
Yeah.
someone leading it.
We have a
Uh,
two-handed carbide battle
and
axe. That's oh a counter-weighted one too. Oof. That's a little scary.
I'm guessing, huh?
I mean, I still think you could maybe take them, but you are level 5 and you have 3 AV. There's like a not 0% chance they could just destroy you.
Yeah. Even though they say
Yeah.
average with their
I just know
difficulty
that
level.
warlords have the potential to get lucky, much like that amoeba did, and When they do, they'll hit a lot harder than the amoeba, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So is this average difficulty level for this enemy calculated based on like the enemy's level, or does it take into account that they have this beastie
It's purely
battle
based
axe
on
with them?
level. That's the only thing that makes it
Okay.
not work very well. Like for
Hmm.
you still have to use your player intuition. It's a good
Hmm.
baseline. So like if you see something that is like higher level and it says impossible, probably take its word for it. But like
Yeah.
still, there are some creatures I see that impossible for that I know I can beat because like I just happen to know what their weakness might be, or I have the tools I require to you know cut them at the knees kind of thing.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to like bump attack them. You would want to use some strategy of your abilities to
Yeah, exactly. Like
checkmate
for
them.
instance, this guy, you could just try and dismember him, and then if you happen to get
Mm.
their attacking arm or whatever, I guess either arm or hand would be great because they're using a two-handed battle axe. They wouldn't be able to use it anymore.
And these little fences here, uh, I would guess that these so like my thought here is there's got to be something juicy in this Snapjaw fort that they're guarding that is worthwhile for us to go and nab. Either like some loot or I guess even just beating this guy for the XP or picking up his axe.
It's also, I
Um
think, just added complication for the Red Rock. It just makes it spices it up a little
mhm.
bit. Used to be there was not a lot going on. Now there's a Snapjaw fort, and I kind of look forward to it. They
Yeah.
do tend to Snapjaws do tend to rob and pillage a little bit, so they will have some goodies, but nothing like
Hmm.
amazing. Although I have found some good stuff for this early in the game. Like I say, they can
Yeah.
tend to have grenades. I mean that can be nice too.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
that's probably fine.
Oop,
So
okay.
yeah, I'd open with that dismember, and your movement speed is
Oh, yeah.
is still your best asset. There you go. What'd you get? Yep, you did it exactly what you wanted is what happened. You chop off their right arm, and then they drops the carbide battle axe. So now they are very vulnerable, and you can just bump attack them.
Yeah. Now, if they dropped the axe, can I just like pick it up and effectively just like, nope, you can't
You
use that
can, but they
anymore?
they would not be able to pick it up again.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
They're effectively disarmed. Yeah,
Literally.
they still have a hand though, so they can punch you. But that's
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry too much about that. I think. Oh, you're hungry again. Unless we didn't eat. We didn't eat.
I don't think
There
we
we
ate it
go.
yet.
That's that slight
But there's
debuff.
a
Yeah, you can't eat there
there's a
unless
nice
if there's
campfire nearby.
hostiles. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think that's what was preventing us from before.
They're wounded.
Okay, health
Yeah,
is
you should be fine. You have half your health, and they're wounded, so they're almost dead.
yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's a
Oh,
new. That is a new warlord. I'm looking at the target. It says slimy, salty, Snapchat warlord perfect.
oh,
So that is a brand new one. And they
oh
have.
yeah.
Well, I mean that's fine. You could eat a witchwood bark and commit to this, and I think that would be
Hmm.
reasonable. I also think just running away and then recovering and coming back would be reasonable. But this is fine too. I think that is totally fine. Did you actually eat it?
Yeah. Is there anything is there anything that I can tell about how fast this guy is relative to me?
Unfortunately not. You just kind of have to feel things out a little bit. Like
Yeah.
a good way is like when you encounter something new, if you like kind of take a few steps around it, you can see how much you keep up with it or how much they keep up with you. Um, but like I say, it's a lot of you're just kind of filling out your own player bestiary of like, oh, this guy sucks at this level unless I have a gun, and then they're no
Yeah.
problem. And you can figure a lot of this out on a first playthrough, I think. But I won't lie, you will just die a couple times.
Yeah.
It's part of the experience.
Okay, there's the battle axe. Yeah, just like with any big expansive game, the first few times you encounter some big new spider, you're like, ooh, you get bludgeoned by the it's I feel like the much like the first time I played Dark Souls and I went right into the catacombs first and I was just getting beaten to death by skeletons and I was like, there's probably something about this that I'm not quite
Cla-
understanding yet, and then realizing like, oh, that's a clearly like a mid-game level.
classic. I went into the catacombs first. No,
Yep.
yeah, that's I think that is like a really defining moment for a lot of people. And I think that Cud has a lot of those kind of moments of like, yeah, you can't just like beat your face against this and expect different results. You kind of have to approach it from new angles. All right,
Mhm.
you have backed yourself into a corner there.
Yeah, I think what my goal here is that I'm gonna bait this guy here, eat a witchwood bark, and then I know that the only spot that they could be is to the
Right.
left. And then I was able to beat up on that last warlord pretty well, I think. We still have
This
teleport
is
as
true,
our
yeah.
GTFO
You
button.
you should
Yeah.
be totally fine. Yeah, that's not a bad strategy. You've also gotten very unlucky with which would work, so you might not become confused. It's kind of a 50-50, honestly. Like we've just rolled badly every
Yeah.
single time.
So I got 12 on my dismember, 3 for my freezing
Not
ray
having that dismember kind
still.
of sucks, but yeah, I'd
Yeah.
take the Witchwood Bark. Well, it's I might have taken it before because it doesn't heal a lot, but it
Oh,
heals over a period of time. So not
yeah.
taking a hit when you're eating it is good because
Mm.
otherwise it's just going to be making up for the damage you're taking. Wow, still rolling horribly with those Witchwood Barks, but at least you do know it's to
Okay.
the
So we
left.
got yeah, so bump attack to the
Yep.
left, freezing
Oh, you're going for the
ray.
freezing ray. That's interesting. Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
ooh, yeah, I guess like
I think it works the same way. You
would
you
I
still shoot where you think you're shooting.
so would I shoot here then if I
Yeah,
know that they're one
yeah. I
tile
wouldn't
to the
leave any
left?
room for doubt.
Okay.
You emit a freezing ray from your hands, and they are stuck. I think they are frozen right now. If they're stuck,
Okay.
that probably generally indicates that they're frozen.
They are stuck in a
That's
hoochoo
right.
hoochoo, so
Logic dictates.
if I can get a couple hits here. Okay, they're wounded. I'm basically full health.
Yeah,
Badly wounded.
you're
It's
golden.
great.
You've won that. Yeah. Are you a axe build? Let's look at your equipment. Well, never. Don't look at your equipment. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you are an axe build. At least we can see that your left hand is holding an axe. So actually, that the two-handed counterweighted carbide battle axe is kind of amazing for you. The
Hmm.
only thing that sucks is that you don't have night vision and you don't have a alternate for a light source. So that's going to
Hmm.
limit your ability to use it. But that's actually an amazing weapon this early in the game for you.
Yeah. Because I guess one thing that I was weird or like maybe not weirded out, but like um surprised by was that if you remove your torch, oh yeah, I guess I'm standing
You
next to a
are
light source right
weirdly
now, but
enough standing
uh
next to like the only two light sources that can possibly be in a cave.
yeah, and I guess maybe uh you know if I walked away from these, this area here would look like this fog
Yeah,
of war zone right here because there's you can't you can't see anything. And I thought like I at first I thought the game was broken. Like I can't see like anything around me. What's going on? Oh, I need a torch in my hand. That makes total
it's one of
sense.
those fun moments I think is like realizing like how Cud actually is depicting the environment to you. It's not just like showing it to you transparently. I don't know how to put it other than that, but like it's easy to get used to in like traditional roguelikes, everything being as it appears, and that's not the case for Cud.
Yeah.
You took a couple hits there. That was a little nasty. Oh wow. Okay, they're all dead.
I guess no one, guess no one's nearby. All right. Whoa, we got some other treasure chests in here
Couple
too.
more baddies.
One shot them. So we got some what looks
Honey,
like some
honey and
bottles
cider.
here. Got some bedrolls. We got some chests. Is so is this kind of like the standard Snapjaw
Yeah.
Fort experience? Like is this something that I can expect to see in like other dungeons, or is this just kind of
Yeah, no,
localized to
that's
Red
I
Rock?
mean, like the formation will be different, but you're always gonna see some trash. You're always gonna get maybe a
Hmm.
chest. There may not be anything in that chest that you care about, but bent metal is good ish. Like big ish. It's the cider's novel. I don't know how often there's like bottles of juice in Snapjaw forts.
Yeah.
So there's always a little curveball there, I think.
Are these good for looting just for like trade
It's a
purposes?
little bit annoying, but like I would be a stickler and steal the liquid specifically, but the glass bottle I know is actually heavier than water skins. You do have some spare water skins, so if you want to
Yeah.
learn some fluid management, then here we go. So yeah, you want to do pour. Yeah, you
Right.
already got it. Pour into another container, and that's it. And then 4 drams.
All right. Empty glass bottle. So is my assumption that if we do something like pour into another container, pour into our cider container, then it will be a mix of cider and this other thing
Yeah.
that I just picked up.
Um yeah, generally not a great idea. You can't there's
Yeah.
times when you have to do that, but like mostly keep your liquids separate.
Hmm. And is that like a way that you can make like I don't know, Molotov cocktail equivalents or grenades or other kind of
That would be
like
cool.
either offensive or defensive
If I
things?
could make Molotovs in CUD, that would be kind of nifty, but no. I don't know if there's a lot of combat potential for liquids. Mostly they're used for cooking with and performing water rituals because not everyone in CUD
Mm,
drinks water.
hmm.
Really, I think there's only like two other liquids that people would prefer over water. But
Yeah.
honey is good for curing diseases, maybe, or resisting diseases. And
Mm.
cider is actually one of my favorite cooking ingredients because it improves your quickness. One of the best
Interesting.
qualities you can have for a meal. It's almost like the perfect flourish for like any meal you cook in CUD is just like just add a little bit of a quickness buff on there as well.
Yeah. Hmm. And so I guess yeah, we're
We
we're
are
hungry.
hungry.
If no better time here.
Can't cook with hostiles. You could
Oh,
you could
there's
risk doing an auto explore at this point. There you go. Small violet tube. That's great. That's an amazing pickup. Unfortunately, your character is
hmm.
very stupid. So like, I wouldn't examine that. I'd have our guy tell you what that is.
What happens if I examine it? My
You might
intelligence
break
is too
it.
low. Oh. What does
Yeah,
this do, Snap?
literally. This is like the equivalent in CUD to potions, where they are always randomly generated per color. So there's like 6 or 7 or 8 different tonics. I can't remember how many exactly right now, but there's 8 tonics. Those are always the same. Their effect is always the same, but they always appear initially to you as different colors. So, you
Hmm.
know,
Am I correct in assuming that this looks like like some kind of
yeah.
injecting
I
syringe?
mean, you could just try
Okay.
and use it, and then you'll find out. Oh, hey, violet tubes are this thing.
Oh, so
Yeah.
potions in that sense of like, uh,
I will say that I don't think that
interesting.
there's any bad potions in CUD. I don't think there's any bad
Uh-huh.
tonics, but like they do vary greatly in value. So using one now may waste it.
But then it would be identified for the rest of
Yeah,
this
I
campaign,
believe so.
basically.
Yeah, go for it. Why not? Burning sensation. That was a blazing. Oh wait, what? What?
A
Apparently it
love
was a love
injector?
injector. That was the worst possible case scenario, honestly.
Excellent. Well, just rewind the YouTube video and then we'll just pretend like we didn't do that. So why? So I see sometimes love injectors being mentioned in like the Caves of Cud discussion forums and stuff. What is this something like I can like use it to charm an enemy or
It is without a doubt one of the most useful tonics in the game.
uh,
It's a I can go through the entire gambit if you want, but like basically they're how you manipulate your reputation in Caves of Cud. Uh, you can, yes,
huh?
you can use them to charm an enemy, but that's the very temporary kind of surface level effect. You want to
Hmm.
use them to basically charm legendaries, so that you can then perform
Mm.
the water ritual with them. And performing the water ritual is like a
Hmm.
sacred act and is recognized by all denizens of Caves of Cud. And therefore, if you make friends with a powerful creature, then all of their loved factions will love you in their stead, and all enemies will hate you all the more. So,
Hmm.
love injectors are very, very important.
Interesting.
And also, like, you can
So
do other fun stuff with them, but you know.
yeah. Huh. Yeah, I think there's been times in previous playthroughs where I've come across like legendary merchants and stuff, and all of their stuff is way too expensive. And uh, from what I'm hearing from this, it's like, if I just maybe give them a little injection in the neck here, suddenly their prices might
Yeah,
come down some.
like I was mentioning with the dailies, if you were to hit a merchant with a love injector, they don't just drop their prices, they actually just give you their stuff. Like you can just take all of their stuff. So it's a
Wow.
little bit broken, but at the same time, it's, I kind of appreciate how one-sided that is. And you still have to succeed in like actually injecting them. It works like a short blade, basically.
Fascinating. So, is that like a thing that like that's permanent, right? Like that doesn't wear off after
Oh,
like
well,
20 turns or
no, it
something?
totally does wear off, and that's the thing.
Uh,
You are gonna want to be wary of like someone who would have hated you but is now in love with you. When it wears off, they're gonna hate you again, and it's not really told you. It's not told transparently like how long that lasts for.
hmm.
The other way I
Hmm.
like using it is actually cooking with, and then you get beguiling, and then you know exactly how long someone is going to be your friend.
Uh,
But yeah, taking a love injector is the worst case scenario. It's one of the few tonics you will never take yourself, because now
yeah.
you actually have the potential to fall in love with something, anyone, anything. You just fell in love with yourself. There's an achievement. You're welcome for that. I'm curious what I can't remember what that does. That does something. If you want to go into your character screen, yeah, you're lovesick. That's what that does. And then go to your effects. Lovesick. You're even dumber.
Oh,
You're
great.
actually even dumber. That's incredible.
Yeah, there was one time I was running around the outskirts of Joppa and I came across a an apple farmer orchard and like for some reason I just fell in love with the apple
Yep.
farmer's daughter and I thought, "Oh, that's a nice little like bit of flavor for this." I didn't realize that it actually like had status effects associated with it.
Classic. I looked at the apple farmer's daughter and fell in love with her, and now I'm taking every hit, and I'm also breaking all my artifacts, and yeah, all my cooldowns are like twice as long. What's happening?
Love causes you to do stupid
Yeah,
things
that's
sometimes.
gonna take a long time to wear off. What's your
Huh.
intelligence, just out of curiosity? Is it like 6 now? It is 8. Very good.
And so this -4 is that based on like -4 from the character creation set
It's
value?
D&D rules. It's like based on your score.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, our intelligence is not
No,
doing so hot
I
here.
mean, until if there's one stat that getting a minus on is a kind of okay, it's probably intelligence. Willpower sucks a lot though. That's kind of a combat stat, and will
Mm,
directly influence your actions. But like intelligence is really just its major function is a gatekeeper. You take it so
mm,
you can learn how to make incredible things and modify incredible things.
yeah. So cooking up a meal here to get us out of
Yeah.
hungry level. We can't choose what ingredients to cook with, despite picking up that cider stuff, because I'm guessing this is an ability that we need to spend some
Yeah,
points for, like the
you
rest of
need to
these.
buy into the cooking and gathering skill tree.
Yeah. Okay. So there's no, at this point, it doesn't feel like we're really incentivized to not just throw random stuff into a bowl quite yet.
Um yeah, I mean I don't think you like if you knew what that love injector was maybe. But like you don't I don't think you have enough
Uh,
ingredients to really make cooking and gathering worth it. It'd be fun for
yeah.
experimenting, but other than that, oh, your dash of uri and a disgraceful glow
It's
crow feather. Yep, that's some real not food.
And none of this stuff like I had to go and like actively pick up. This is just
Yeah.
like flavor text for like, oh yeah, in your adventure you may have picked
Yeah,
something like this
no,
stuff up.
it's just like kind of what's in the surroundings. You can actually see some fun stuff in there. Occasionally, your character will randomly grab something useful, and then your meal is like
Hmm.
suddenly a little bit better.
Yeah. And I seem to recall there's an ability with one of the pre-made classes that has like gathering much like butcher corpses as like a toggleable passive on ability. It's like gathering plants or something as like a toggleable on passive ability. Is that something that like you would be gathering ingredients like this for cooking on the fly
Yeah,
as you're
so
walking around?
gathering is specifically from plants, and you can actually learn that from Elder Iridad for free, with an asterisk. It
Hmm.
costs you some reputation with Joppa, but like that's fine. Um, and it basically, when you auto explore, your character will do anything that's kind of like toggled on automatically. So, like for instance, there's a bunch of trash around. If you had any of the skills that would let you benefit from rooting through trash, then your character will automatically like beeline for the trash and start rooting through all of it. And similarly, if there's any plants that are harvestable on the screen, your character will auto pick them when you're auto exploring. It's really nice.
Hmm.
You don't like, if I ever see a screen with like harvestables, I'll just like hit the auto explore.
Yeah. Hmm.
Seeing all that trash hurts me a little because I know how like, how
Just
insanely valuable it is.
oh no. But my Minotaur is too dumb to
Yeah, in
make use of
fact,
it.
I think trash divining has an insane intelligence prerequisite. Insane for you, you know,
Uh-huh.
no offense, but yeah, like it's just so good, and I like to take it as early as possible because then I never have that nagging feeling of like, oh, look at all that trash.
Yeah.
You could probably auto explore. You need to find that staircase down
Yeah.
and go and pillage a fort and kill all the
And so
snapjaws.
because we're because we're underground right now, we need a light source or like we need a light source because we're not next to one right now. If we were like underground in some kind of, I guess, illuminated area, we could get away with equipping our two-handed battle axe and not needing
Yeah,
a
but
torch, right?
spoilers, that's never going to happen. It's always dark in the caves.
Okay.
You were literally next to the only light source that I could think of ever being underground, which is next, like in a Snapjaw fort. Occasionally there's a
Hmm.
campfire, but it's so sparse that it's never like you always need a light source. You either need light vision or you need some of the nice alternative light sources, which I will not spoil because some of them are really fun. And yeah, like it is always dark. The caves, they are dark.
Yeah,
And the fun thing about Snapjaws
as
and
expected
most of
from
the
caves.
critters underground is they all have either night vision or enhanced hearing, so they can probably tell where you
Hmm.
are, and that's why none of them are carrying torches or any kind of light
Hmm.
source. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they have a torch.
So is night vision like if you're customizing a build, like is night vision something that's like, ooh, yeah, you have to take in order to
I kind of
um
bounce I
free up
bounce
an
back and
extra hand?
forth on this because like I think for your first few runs taking night vision is really nice for like your first few runs. Like I think you don't have to. I think getting used to finding light sources in cud is not a bad thing to do. um and like
Hmm.
I now know like just how quickly I'm going to find the light source that makes something like night vision feel like a wasted point. um and like mutants,
Mm.
you're a mutant. Mutant night vision isn't as good as Trukin night vision. That is a fun
Mm.
find. Those all suck,
A
unfortunately.
musket.
It's a gun though. It's something.
It's-
It's 75
yeah,
pounds.
it's
You
pretty heavy.
absolutely grab it. It's all like you've got the space.
Yeah.
You got three muskets and a chrome revolver. Chrome revolvers real bad. Muskets almost worse.
So this is a stack of
Yeah.
three muskets then, right? Oh,
You
okay.
found their
Uh,
their gun rack basically.
At first I thought this was like three muskets hastily duct
No.
taped together or something.
Yeah, no. It's a musket with ×3 crit. Not actually.
Interesting. Oh, okay. Accuracy low.
Yeah, muskets suck. They're
And I
real
guess like
bad.
another another thing about missile weapons that I've only just barely dabbled with. Bows
Hmm.
take arrows, revolvers, and I guess maybe muskets just take like
Yeah,
lead
lead
bullets. Is
slugs.
that right?
Almost
Yeah.
like almost all the weapons in CUD will take lead slugs. But I say almost. There's a huge gap near the end there of weapons that mostly run on electricity, and you need to power them.
Yeah.
Um,
But there's not like you don't need like revolver
no,
specific ammo,
no,
musket
yeah. I
specific
mean,
ammo,
there is
that kind of thing.
a couple weird exceptions. Shotguns do actually need shotgun shells, but there's not a
Yeah.
lot of shotguns. I demand more shotguns.
There's
There's
probably a mod.
probably a mod. You're not incorrect about that.
That was one of the things that kind of made my eyes glaze over a little bit from Cataclysm was that there's all sorts of these different guns, but it was almost too simulationist in the fact that like okay, I've got like this 9mm gun, I've got this other like big gun, but I don't have any of the ammo for any of the guns because they all require such specific uh conditions
Yeah,
to use
I
them, I
mean,
guess.
I can understand that. I like honestly, this is gonna be neither here nor there. The Stalker universe has really sold me on caring about like the
Mm,
granularity of different ammo types and like different gun types because there's something kind of very engaging for me about that. When you actually like have some kind of understanding about the different weapons in the world. But I can also understand when you're in a
yeah.
text-based game, it's not really going to be as compelling.
Yeah. Yeah. Stalker, I feel like is kind of the titular example of it because it is a very kind of like survival and like loot based game. And I guess like Cataclysm does have a similar vibe to some extent, and being able to like put yourself in that universe, like, all right, I've got this thing, it has these requirements. I was just like, I just wish I could like
Yeah,
actually use
yeah,
it.
no, totally fair. And I mean, like I think that's like that's right there is the challenge, right? That's what the complication that it provides. And like, that basically teaches me like, oh, I need to have a couple of different weapons so that I have ammo variety, so when I actually find some ammo, then I can use it. There you go. There's cud letting you know right away that you
Whoa.
found it even before you've seen it.
Yeah,
It's here.
it's here.
It's creeping. There it is.
Ooh, that looks like a vermin. And you were saying that basically pink is a moniker of some like important type of enemy or
It usually
item. Is that
means
right?
the magenta color generally means legendaries, except when it comes to the Geyer and the Gersh. So unfortunately,
Hmm.
it's an exception case here that we found, but it's not a
Yeah.
legendary. It's just pink. Pink also kind of indicates illumination. So it can generally mean a few
Mm.
things, but the where you can kind of understand the difference is if it is a tile that is generally not pink, like a snapjaw that is pink is a
Mm.
legendary.
Hmm.
A bear that's pink,
Yeah.
anything that is generally not pink. There's no glowing bears, is what I'm saying, unless they are a legendary with some kind of glowing mutation.
Yeah.
All right, you froze them. This is good. You could probably dismember them. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Dismembered. Gerslings are actually kind of fierce. Like they actually spook me a little bit, but you've got this. You've got this down.
So is this like the sprite makes it look kind of crab-like, but I don't think I've ever heard of what a Gershling is
They
unless it's like from the CUD
it's
universe.
from the Cud universe for sure. They're part of some deep-ish lore. Oh, you want to go pick up the corpse?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Just yeah, you don't need the extra limb that you cut off. um,
Don't
no,
need to
that's
wear
true.
its
I
face.
forgot about that. Right, you have extra ego because you're wearing a brute's face on your face. Um, yeah, the Gershling are part of the deep lore of Cud. I say deep, but it's actually more surface level than a lot of the other kind of lore. But it's like
Hmm.
part of the Reshef lore of pushing back the Gyre. They're part of some
Hmm.
kind of plague basically that has come back to you know be a menace to Cud.
Yeah. So, all right, so
Yeah,
we've gotten the corpse. Should we head back to Joppa? Because it seems like there might be still more to explore here, but we've satisfied our quest
yeah. I mean,
requirements
you
for the
can
moment.
definitely head back. I think that's a good idea. There's a s- I won't spoil anything, but for folks at home, there's actually some more fun stuff to discover at Red Rock, in relation to like how the Gershling was affecting Joppa, why they sent you on the mission in the first place. There's a couple of interesting things you
Hmm.
can surmise and extra goodies down there, but definitely not for your first playthrough, I think.
I think you were also mentioning that a lot of the world underneath the surface is
Yeah,
connected, and that there's a secret passage that you can take from Joppa to get to
yeah.
here directly.
Yeah, so
Is that
you
right?
could travel basically from here south underground and find your way back to Joppa that way. And there's some interesting stuff down there, but it is a very I will say spicy route. You can I have done on several of my playthroughs. In fact, more recently the one I'm now doing with Narf. Just taking it like I know where the passage is in Joppa to that and like where to go. But it is
Yeah.
really mean spirited. It's a mean spirited route and not this like traveling over land and fighting baboons, it feels kind spirited in relation, like it's a bit
Hmm.
more balanced to guide the player a little bit, I think. You made it. We actually did it.
It's like trying to take one of those high risk, high reward like
Yeah,
shortcut paths in some super
yeah, it's
difficult
it's
game.
definitely like almost your catacombs route.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't remember
You
who
want to
gave
talk to
us
you want to
the
talk to
quest with
Elder
Mimic.
Iridad. Yeah, Mimic gave you the quest, but then he said return to Elder Iridad when you have the corpse.
Live and drink, friend. I've brought back the pale spiderling. Oh, hoarded leg, a Gershling. This is a Gershling. Yeah, here's my question.
What's a
What's
Gershling?
a Gershling? Creature of plague, friend. This one covered in flick and muscled out the bilge hodes of a sleeping Agulgot in the cave of the Cloaca. But here, Gershling this far west, there must be hundreds for one to reach. Does this mean the gyre widen again? Gyre? Our great grandsires many times over salt darkness, Sveridium frog, Gershling. Friend, not like the sour air with a harsh word, but this tiding bites my liver like acid. Must ask Nima for an elixir of yuckweed. A gyre white must be. They bind the teeth right up to their own gums to make a show for the Gersh Niflheim. I like how my player character here is just like, what on earth are you talking about? Sultan Reshef drove them back like a chiliad ago, away to slumber. Do they rouse? Sorry, Elder. Sorry to ruin your day with this mutant spider that I've picked up, but hopefully it's stop eating their water vine. Your finding is rich in value to us. We are poor farmers, and sharpen our vine reapers is all we can do. But others, perhaps more. Take these prickly boons as thanks. I will not soon forget this. More. Leave me to muse kindly. Live and drink, Elder Irudad. Uber Nostrum injector.
Yeah,
And a
and a
couple
weird
other
artifact.
injectors. Oh,
You're
yeah.
gonna wanna have Argive tell you what that is. Let's also have a look at Elder Iridad for a moment. He is hated by the Naphtali tribe. Well, that kind of sucks, but I think we can make friends.
Who could hate him?
Well,
I mean, he's so
apparently for
helpful.
giving one of their kind and an unfavorable horoscope rating. So he gave a I don't know a Cancer a bad day. Told them that they had bad tidings, and then they took it real personally, and now the Naphtali tribe hate
Hmm.
him. Hate him. That's the impressive thing. Hate him. Like
Typical typical
yeah,
Geminis.
yeah, right. So I think that's fine. I mean, I like making friends with Neftali tribe, but I also really I like that villagers of Joppa reputation. So why don't you share a dram with
Mm-hmm.
Elder Irodad? You have to go back into the chat menu.
Do a
Yeah.
water ritual here. In the water ritual.
So you've improved your reputation with Joppa by 100, and you've decreased your reputation with Neftali tribe by 100.
But it seems like they already hated me, so that doesn't
The
seem like
it
that
was
big of a deal.
350 negative 350, which is actually pretty reasonable. If you can even make friends with one person that is chill with Neftali, then you can get them to neutral, and neutral with Neftali is quite good. But there you go. You can spend 50 reputation to get that harvestry.
Mm.
Highly worth it. Because
Hmm.
that's skill points you don't have to spend. And Joppa reputation, which I love Joppa, but they outlive their relevancy very quickly. I suppose they are a village. I got to remind myself of that. I
Mm.
won't explain that statement.
And I guess maybe also, like, is there any risk of running into people from Joppa out in the broader world? Like, are they like people from villages like meandering about the world? And should I be cautious about making poor relationships with one if I were to like go to someplace else and like, oh no, there's a guy there from the village that I
um,
blew up.
So with villages specifically, I'm gonna say no. I don't think you'll ever see a denizen of from a village anywhere, but you will definitely find people who are either friends or enemies to villages, and including Joppa. It's kind
Mm,
of completely random.
mhm.
So like you want to keep those things in mind, and yes, you can encounter those settlements, and if you are enemies to those settlements, yeah, they will just like attack you on site, but it's really really difficult to get to that point. Villages are pretty chill, and like you have to basically get to hated with a village before they'll do that.
Uh-huh. Ooh, I got a new ability for
That's
harvest
a
plants.
toggleable. That's one of those things you shuffle that off
Hmm.
to the bottom. Same with butcher corpses. I shuffle those both down because unless I'm like having some real encumbrance issues, then I just like keep those on.
Yeah. How do I move them
So if you
around?
want to go to butcher corpses, hit page down a couple of times. I don't know how it interacts with the mouse cursor. Yeah, it's easier to do it this way, I think.
All right, so page
Oh
down.
no.
I think that's just
Okay, hold
moving my
on.
cursor.
Try the plus key then. There you go.
Ah, there we go. Oh, so that's how you
I'm used to page
move
up,
them
page
around
down, but it
here.
might have changed. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
refamiliarize myself with all of this.
Ah, so now they're over here. And I'm guessing as I get more abilities on here, then I'll get a page two, and then I could just move these guys all the way
Yeah,
down off of the
yeah,
fold
I
of the
think it
page
goes up to
there.
10, and then that happens. Worth noting also that where your skills are in sequence on this page relates to their hotkey. So like sprint is on one. I'd
Hmm.
also like just a tip here. I bind that to Shift S or Control S, whichever you prefer, and then you can also shuffle that up because it's one of those things that you tend to use a lot. Like every single playthrough, every character has sprint. And then same with
Yeah.
make camp, you could do like Control C or Shift C and then shuffle that off. Those are things that are always available, but like freezing ray, that's pretty specific to this run. You keep that on your hot bar.
Yeah. And yeah, and especially if we have this combo going of like freezing ray, charge in, dismember, like we would want those kind of at the fore instead of like, well, we're probably not going to be making
That's
camp that
true,
often
yeah.
in combat.
It like once I have horrible memory, so I like to kind of create like kind of memory hooks for myself. Like when it, for instance, like long blades have like almost 3 or 4 different skills associated with it, and so like I kind of like to group those up and make
Mm,
sure they're always on the same hotkey so that I don't forget which ones. Like it can get to be a lot.
hmm.
So at this point, you still have technically 2 other quests. You still have to. Well, we should go talk to Argive. Argive's got some stuff for us
Yes.
to make use of. I believe we already handed him an artifact. He unfortunately won't even trade with us. Give him that salt mill. I actually recently did this. There's zero repercussions for this,
Hmm.
and I just love to maintain the trend of like not caring about the Mechanimus convert.
Hmm. Now, is that because me being a mutant, I don't really have any incentive to go and like work with the people from the 6 Day Still? I'm guessing that the true kin who are more kind of like cyborg people, like there's more for that kind of character design there than there would be for this kind of mutant
No,
character that I have.
the reason I don't like the convert is much more surface level than that. He's just annoying, and the people of Joppa
Oh.
don't even like him very much. In fact, if he accidentally wanders by Argive's workshop before you talk to him, Argive will just come out and kill him and like beat the crap out of him, which is really really funny. But like also for me, since I know that Joppa doesn't care if what you do to him, I would generally start my playthrough where I take his quest and then kill him because he's worth like 25 XP and then you can almost like level up right away. very very metagamey stuff,
But
but
that doesn't lower your
no, it
reputation with the
doesn't.
other.
That's what's hilarious about it. Joppa doesn't care about the convert.
Uh,
I don't know if that's still true. But the fact that you can take his trinket and then give it to Argive right away is just really funny to me. No, you
yeah.
100% want to make friends with a mechanimist for very important like mid to late game reasons. And
Hmm.
that is true for Truekin and mutants. They both mechanimists are
Yeah.
chill. They're really good.
Hmm. All right. Argive has given us a new quest. I'm on the cusp, you see, at Grand Discovery. The weird wire conduit is near assembled, and once it is, we'll be able to chat
Ooh.
with anyone in instant time. From here to the it says Yeed Freehold. Um, but before I can finish, I need wire, as much as you can find, at least 200 feet. You should be able to scavenge it from the rust wells. Yes, Argive, I will go and strip some buildings of their copper
Heck
wire
yeah.
for you.
I just realized we didn't pick up that two-handed cobalt or carbide axe. Or yeah, we did. Okay. All right,
No, I picked
perfect.
it up. Yeah.
Um, you can we'll go ahead and wash it. Wash it off. There you go. What is it?
There we go.
8 pen, and then counterweighted adds
Wow.
+2 to hit. Oh, that is just a ridiculously good weapon this early on.
The trade-off is basically only being able to use this in daylight hours or near a light source if I want to actually
Yeah.
hit with it, maybe.
Well, I won't spoil how, but there are ways. There are ways.
Hmm.
I don't think it would benefit you to know those ways now. Like you'll discover them.
Yeah. So is this progression? I think like the way that I've done the quest stuff in the past was like I had gone and talked to Argive first before
Yeah.
Red Rock because it always felt like between Rustwell's out here to the east and Red Rock up here to the north, there isn't really like it didn't seem at the time like, oh, you clearly want to do one versus the other. But it feels like in our adventure thus far, doing it this way has seemed much easier than trying to go out
No,
to
I
Rustwell's
think they're
first.
pretty on par. I think the Rustwells.
Are they?
There's reasons to want to do the Rustwells first. I think they are actually a bit
Hmm.
kinder in some ways, and then more fierce in other ways. They're both pretty much on the same playing field. They've certainly developed now that you can look straight into them. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, no, I think they're like Red Rock can be really nasty. So Rustwells actually are kind of
Hmm.
kind in comparison. I just like
Hmm.
doing Red Rock first. I kind of like to get it out of the way, and also
Yeah.
it's like it's a test bed. If you know you can get through Red Rock, then you know that the run has legs.
And
Yeah,
in our case,
yeah.
multiple legs with our
We gotta
forefeet
get
and
some
hind
boots.
feet. Oh yeah, that was another question. Was like, we've gone to this village and keep getting that backwards. And to one dungeon with Red Rock thus far. Um, the only merchants that I know about so far are from Joppa here, but if we encounter like merchant zones in the overworld, is it worth using them as stops along the way to kind of start building out gear, getting a build as it were going, and using that for future
Yeah,
dungeon timing?
for sure. I wouldn't count on the RNG of finding a merchant. You're just gonna want to, again, kind of like form a bit of a muscle memory of like what towns have, consistent spawning merchants, much like Tam. So
Hmm.
you'll get a feel for that. There are merchants hanging out in the overworld and even in the caves, but like they're rare enough that I don't count on them at all.
Hmm. So is it advisable to talk with merchants like as much as possible to like start
Yeah.
building stuff out? Like, do we? before we go into the rust wells, should we have something equipped in every
It's a
slot,
good
or
idea. I mean, unfortunately, I would love to say buy those boots because they're great for you. However, it's the rust wells, and so
oh, I bet steel boots
that's
probably won't
right.
do
You
so
could buy
well.
them and then just like dump them in your chest. I think I told you to grab a chest, but I can't remember if we did. That's
Oh
all
no, I
good.
don't think so.
Yeah, you could just like grab it and then throw it on the ground.
Oh, and it'll just like sit there and
Yeah,
persist in Joppa
yeah.
like forever. Oh
Like
wow.
base when you leave a tile, it becomes frozen. It's one of those kind of
Hmm.
weird like things you can kind of use it to your advantage in some ways, but there's no one in Jopo who's gonna steal your stuff. So yeah, you can
Yeah.
just like, and that's why I use the chest because it's just a convenient way to like put a bunch of stuff on the ground and come back and then use it as storage.
Yeah. Is there any reason why we would keep books other than for
100%.
trade
There's
value?
actually a very, very good thing to do with books.
Oh,
Maybe I shouldn't spoil it, but like, yeah, you could sell those armor, for example. Well, those armor are like completely worthless. Good lord. Actually, that's studded armor. I can't remember what we're using right now. The studded is not bad. You can't really see from here. But I'd sell like the leather armor, the apron, the cloth robe, just to get rid of it, because it's all like a lot of weight.
yeah.
You can sell the Gershling, and I recommend doing so at this point because it weighs quite a lot, and you only need it for that quest.
Mm. Do we want to hang on to our data disk here, even if we
Yeah, I
can't?
mean, it's a really fair question. That is gonna be a long time before you actually get to use that. But
Yeah.
hey, there, look, your jewel encrusted shortbow is worth 30 drams. That's actually quite good.
Mm. And bows versus guns. I guess probably another kind of sort of situational
I've
thing. And at the moment for us, probably don't need
Yeah,
either.
I'd sell the bow for sure. There's better bows than that. I've never really committed to a bow run. I should. I should do a
Mm.
bow run, but I know they're better now, but I don't think they even carry you as far as guns or really. I don't think there's good enough bows to carry you into late game. But they're
Mm.
cool. I like bows in concept a lot.
Hmm.
I'd sell that chrome revolver too. In fact, I'd sell all of those guns. It like if it was a different run and you knew you could take tinkering soon, then you maybe take those.
Hmm.
But and that's enough stuff. Like you'll have a lot of. You should actually check to see if Tam has any trade goods that you can buy. Well, actually, you could buy that love injector. That'll make up for
Mm.
the wasted one. So now you got to find another 40-ish drams. Oh, you got a lot of melee weapons you could get rid of. Basically
Yeah.
everything except the carbide battle axe is worth getting rid of.
And this won't automatically have stuff that I have
No, it
equipped
won't.
in
Yeah,
here show
it
up.
won't have anything
Okay.
that you have equipped.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, you have trade goods, so you could sell your copper nugget or like one beaded
Oh
bracelet.
yeah.
And worth noting, notice how the price on the copper nugget is a different color. That means it's always
Hmm.
$10. I don't know like how you want to, but yeah,
Mm.
the price of trade goods never changes. The beaded bracelets do vary a little bit, but they're mostly always worth around 30 drams.
Mm.
There you go. Yeah, you could sell all of that. Cider is also worth quite a lot, but you only have 4 drams, so I'd just keep a hold of that for
Yeah.
cooking.
Do I want to keep my buckler
Um,
here? I guess that's another like trade-off, like if I want to give up that
yeah,
torch.
exactly. I'd sell it because you're not gonna if you'll find a better shield
Okay.
before you consider using shields.
Yeah.
This is fine.
So I'm offering 211 drams,
Yeah.
water dollars, I'm buying 164. So are they making up the difference there with just like water money
Yeah,
out of their
exactly.
pocket?
So you're gonna
Okay.
walk away with this from this with 50 more drams than you have. So you'll have like 90ish drams, which is good
Hmm.
because you're also drinking that. Having a nice buffer like that means you don't have to worry about running out of water.
If I wasn't
You have
amphibious.
to worry about it even more when you're amphibious.
Oh, right, yeah, because if I'm not constantly walking through
Yeah, like you're
pools of
wasting a
stuff.
lot more water and you're also using it more often because you'll dry out. And also making the journey to the 6 day still is a lot worse for you because I think you dry out quicker in the desert.
Hmm.
But we are actually kind of well beyond the cutoff. Do you want to call it here?
Yeah, this seems like a good spot. I think we're setting up for Rust Wells. Yeah, we're gonna get that weird wire conduit and see what who we can
Perfect.
talk to.
All right. Well, if you at home are enjoying this, definitely hit the like button and consider subscribing. And maybe you want to check out Grogpod for some chats about roguelikes, traditional or otherwise.
Yeah, podcasts, three, four of us, sometimes with surprise guests. We'll definitely have Big Simple on for when we do our Caves of Cud episode. I think early next season, so early next year. But yeah, kind of talking about everything from your AAA rogue games like Returnal to your mystery dungeon games like Sheeran the Wanderer and everything in between. So and attempting to rank
Oh
them
no.
as well, and seeing where our personal like individualized rankings compare with each other. Because like between me and my, it's interesting because a lot of uh, there's a lot of different play style uh, I guess enthusiasm between my co-hosts, which I'm very favorable for or very thankful for. So, like if everyone on the show was just like, "Oh yeah, we only like this one
Yeah.
type of game," it would be super boring. Um, but yeah, we have folks on the program who really like action games, others that hate them, and it creates for quite the eclectic debate panel for when we're trying to suss out what makes a
Oh,
game good or
nice.
not. So, but generally, I feel like the when we aggregate our numbers as whatever those numbers mean, they tend to wash out like pretty well, like in terms of what I think the rogue pantheon is in general. So despite me giving like a really high score to some game and then one of my co-hosts nuking that high score, it balances out to somewhere in the middle generally. So
Huh. Okay. That's no, I appreciate that. Like it's good to have a bit of variety so that you're not all just like nodding heads and you know what I
yeah.
mean. So, all right. Well, we'll see you next time.